What's up guys, I am here at Calgary International Airport in Alberta, Canada. It's really cold, it's 3 degrees above freezing here in practically the beginning of May now. It's balmy summer temperatures back at home, but here it's still +3 and there is snow on the ground. Today I'm heading back to London Heathrow with British Airways in Club World on board a Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner. I haven't flown Club World on a proper long-haul flight before. This is going to be my maiden voyage in the business class cabin on a long-haul BA flight, so I'm quite looking forward to seeing it. It's also going to be my first time on the British Airways Dreamliner, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they've got to offer on this flight from here in Calgary back to London Heathrow. Let's head inside and find out how it goes. I headed inside to the modern terminal building here at Calgary. The international terminal at Calgary has only been open for a couple of years and is really bright and spacious inside. I had to chuckle at these signs that were illuminated above the check-in desks. It's interesting to see how liberal Canada is compared to many other countries in the world.
Thank you.
I was actually really early for today's flight as I'd only just arrived in from the UK. At this time of day the security area was pretty quiet, as was the entire terminal. First stop after duty free was to visit the Aspire Lounge.
Hello there, how are you doing? I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much. Cheers, thank you.
I got in with my BA business class ticket, but you can get in with priority pass too. Check out the link down below in the description for a discount off an annual membership with them. The lounge doesn't have any views over the taxiways or runways or anything, but it is really spacious and has these sleeping pods that you can just go and get a few hours kip in. There's food and drink, and TVs dotted around throughout the lounge, which although were handy to sit and watch, I actually found quite distracting when I was trying to do some work there. There's not really any quiet areas that you can sit down and work on your own. It's all communal areas with TVs and things, so it can get a little bit noisy. That's my only criticism of this lounge though. It is really modern and spacious and it has only been open for a couple of years, and there's a really good selection of food and drink too. I really don't think I'm going to be becoming a bartender anytime soon. The pumps that you see in these lounges I can never actually get to work and I just end up with a glass full of froth. I'm just no good at it. Give me a bar with somebody doing this for me anytime. As it was pretty noisy in the lounge with the TVs playing out Jeopardy at full blast and people sat around talking, I decided to go and find an area of the terminal that would be a little bit quieter for me to sit and work, which wasn't really an issue because the terminal was really quiet at this time of the day. British Airways had been sending me emails and text messages for about 2 days, letting me know that the flight will be delayed. Originally it was going to be like 3.5 hours delayed, but they started swapping aircraft around and eventually, today it was going to be 40 minutes. The delay was a bit of an issue to me, as you'll find out later in the video, but fair play to BA for their proactive handling of this.
102 to London Heathrow. We expect to start boarding in about 15 minutes. If you have any question regarding your flight, please come up to the desk at D76 and a British Airways agent will be happy to assist you.
Boarding commenced about 40 minutes late for tonight's flight, and I made my way down the jet bridge onto tonight's aircraft.
Hiya. Cheers, thank you.
Just carry on?
Just carry on, yeah.
Okay, perfect. There you
Lovely,
go.
thanks very much, thank you.
Hi there.
Hiya, you're right.
I'm very well, thank you. Just want to first
Cheers,
here.
thank you.
My ride over to London tonight was a brand new Boeing 787-8 Dreamliner. It was only delivered in September 2018, 8 months ahead of my flight tonight back to London. BA's Club World cabin on the Dreamliner is in this 222 configuration, exactly the same as you find on many of their other types of aircraft. The window seats are in this yin-yang configuration, which means that the window seats are facing backwards. Some people don't like sitting backwards on the plane, but I actually quite enjoy looking out the window and seeing that beautiful Dreamliner engine and wing out at the side of me. Pre-takeoff champagne was brought round, as were the menus for the rest of the flight, and I grabbed a quick look at what I'd be eating on tonight's flight. There was a really nice dinner menu which I didn't really pay much attention to because I wasn't planning to have dinner tonight. I was actually exhausted and just wanted to sleep. One thing I thought was really cool was that they give you a little breakfast card that you fill in your breakfast choices and hand across to your cabin crew, who then bring you your breakfast in the morning, waking you up if you've chosen to do that, or you can just choose to sleep in. It did feel really weird to see the aircraft getting de-iced even though we were almost in May. BA's safety video is getting quite old now, but it still raises a laugh in the cabin every time.
These may differ from an aircraft that you've flown on before.
We started our taxi out to the active runway here at Calgary International Airport. As we climb out over the skies of Alberta, let's take a quick look at our route back home to the UK tonight. We flew to the northwest overhead Alberta, Saskatchewan and Manitoba before crossing Hudson Bay and into northern Quebec. From there it was across southern Greenland before crossing the Atlantic to the south of Iceland, coasting into the UK over northwest Scotland. From there we flew down the length of the UK, making an arrival into runway 9 left at Heathrow, with a flight time today of 8 hours and 18 minutes at a cruising altitude of 41,000 feet. As soon as the seatbelt sign went off, I put up the in-seat divider at the side of me, put the bed into the lie flat position and settled down for a good night's sleep. I have slept for probably about 6 to 7 hours on this flight. Just woken up, we're about 2 hours out from Heathrow now. The bed isn't the most comfortable to lie down on, I have to say. It's a little bit like bumpy and bits sticking out in places that make it a little bit uncomfortable, but it still beats economy for getting a decent night's sleep every time, and that's of course the reason why you take flights in business class, because this and you get a decent night's sleep. And I have 6 to 7 hours, I think, somewhere around there. A couple of hours left now. I've got to get up. Breakfast service will be starting very soon. Filled in my breakfast card last night, so they're getting the breakfast ready for the cabin now. Well, I'm going to take a little look around the cabin. Let's take a look around the seat, show you guys what it's like here in Club World on the Boeing Dreamliner with British Airways. As I mentioned earlier, the seats on BA Club World face either forwards or backwards depending on where you're sitting in the cabin. They have this nice little divider and the options at the side of the seat to make your bed into a lie flat bed or into the reclined position, which is quite nice. To do the lie flat you do need to do the ottoman, which sits at the end of the bed as well. There's a little table that pops out from here if I can actually get the thing to open, and that comes across your knee just so that you can eat your dinner and things. There's a little reading light in there as well. The lie flat is quite nice, it's quite wide and there's quite a lot of room even for a 6'3" guy like me. The Dreamliner Windows, as you can see, these beautiful big windows with the buttons to dim the windows electronically, which is something, as I've mentioned before, that I really like about the Dreamliner. There's plenty of power around the seat with a USB port here and a 3-pin plug located down at the front of the seat as well. I do find the lack of storage around this seat pretty frustrating though. I ended up sitting with most stuff sat on my lap. The business class amenity kits on BA are pretty cool. They're made by the White Company exclusively for BA. They come in this nice little purse wallet type thing. Inside there is a really nice massive eye mask, which is much better than the ones that you usually get in business class, I have to say. I will be using that again in the future. There are the usual pair of socks. You actually wear socks out of the amenity kit on the plane, and there's also a nice range of spa goodies as well if you are the sort of person that likes spa goodies. The in-flight entertainment system here on BA is exactly the same as most other long-haul BA aircraft, with the exception of the older 747s that still have the old IFE systems on board. I won't go through that again here because I have gone through it in quite a lot of detail in the past, but needless to say there's a really good variety of TV, movies and music for you to listen to as well. There's no Wi-Fi on the Dreamliner, which is something that I find really frustrating. This is a brand new aircraft and they're rolling out Wi-Fi now on the Boeing 747 fleet, but we still don't have it on the latest aircraft in the fleet. It's a little bit frustrating. The flight map system is pretty cool as well. It's exactly the same as you find on most of the long-haul BA flights. As we got closer to the UK, breakfast was served and I got my breakfast sandwich as I'd ordered the night before through my menu.
Heathrow Terminal 5, the home of British Airways. Here is some information to help you through the airport once we've landed. For those connecting to another flight from Heathrow, information about your transfer will follow shortly.
The clouds below us cleared as we moved through England and we got some great views of Sheffield and the rest of the UK before we came into land. Approach and landing today was from the west, which means that we came in over Windsor Castle and got some great views on the way in too. We touched down at Heathrow about 40 minutes behind schedule. It was late, but it wasn't too bad, and I really hoped that I'd still be able to make my train from London St Pancras back home, which left 3 hours after the arrival of my original flight time. We started taxiing in towards Terminal 5 here at Heathrow before we came to an abrupt halt and sat there for about 20 minutes. Pretty soon the reason for this delay became clear.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tom, if I think just to keep you updated, we are waiting for an aircraft to push back and start its engines off our stand. We're going to assure that's only going to be a few more minutes from now. Thank you again for your patience, and we'll be underway shortly.
We sat and waited for another 20 minutes. By this point it was getting quite frustrating and I was getting really nervous for my onboard connection.
Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Tom. Finding slightly frustrating news. The aircraft that's on our stands required a little bit of engineering to sort out the technical problem on the aircraft, so we are going to be held here for about another 15 minutes to get that sorted. Unfortunately, all the other stands around Terminal 5 are actually occupied at the moment, but we're doing our best to try and get an earlier stand. And we are aware that it might be a little bit frustrating for those with connections, but we're doing our very best, and we're in constant contact with the company. Thank you again for your patience, and I'll get back to you in a few minutes.
This news from the flight deck was not welcome in the slightest by many people on board, particularly those with the tight connection and of course myself who had that train to catch. Pretty soon though we did start to taxi and went all the way around Terminal 5 before making our way to another stand at the far end of the terminal.
Ladies and gentlemen, good news is the stand just to the left-hand side of the aircraft is now the one allocated for us. We're just waiting for the guidance and the ground teams to meet us. Shouldn't be more than a couple of minutes and we'll be parked. Thank you, legends.
We finally pulled onto the stand just over an hour late, and it was time for me to get off the aircraft and leg it across to the train station as fast as possible to get my connection into central London. Whilst BA's Club World service is really good and the meals are really nice, I do find the cabin a little bit tired and worn out. Bearing in mind this is a brand new aircraft, the seats are exactly the same ones that you find on the really old 747s as well, so it's really good that BA are bringing out a new Club World on their Airbus A350 later on this year.
Okay, so finally off the aircraft. I have got like an hour to scoot across London to get my 4 o'clock train. It's now 5 to 3. I really don't think I'm going to make this.
I decided the quickest way to get to central London from Heathrow was to use the Heathrow Express. This costs about £13 if you book it in advance, but if you book it on the day, it's over £20. It does get you right into central London though in about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on what terminal you go from here at Heathrow.
Right, well, I am on the Heathrow Express now into Paddington in London. Really sweating now because I've had to leg it across Heathrow and I've got on this. This is the fastest way into London. I may make it. It's 3:15. My train is at 4. But once I get to Paddington, then I've got to get the tube across to St Pancras. So let's see.
Okay, so here now at London Paddington Station. I need to just get through the barrier here and then head across to St Pancras, wherever that is. Thanks BA, this is really what I wanted after a nice relaxing Club World flight. Right, so made it back to St Pancras for my train, even though I've missed my train now. It's been another 80 quid to change to my next train, which I'm not massively happy about. Let me know what you thought of BA in the comment section below, but in the meantime, thank you for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time here on In-Flight Video.